In this video, we're going to focus on the time scale here. And you can see here the time scale is exactly different than what you're used to, because normally AM or PM will be at the very end. However, in this case here now, AM and PM will be before the hours, and then we have the minutes here. So let's start to look how to do this. So let's start to look how to add AM and PM before the hours in the X scale in Chart.js. So to do this, the first thing what we need is, of course, to get a default code, which you can find on chartjs3.com, getting started. This specific link here, which you can find in the description box. So once you're on the site, scroll down and just copy this entire chunk of code here. Let's copy all of this. And by the way, if you want to understand what this code all does, make sure you watch this video that explains it all. Paste it all in there, and once you paste it in there, I'm just going to cut out the title, put the title in here, save, and refresh. So now we have a nice chart here, but of course it has to absolutely nothing. So what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to change the labels here. I'm going to give it a date. So you're just going to say here 2022, and then we say here April 15. Then I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put in 16, and then just one more as well. 17, 19, oh maybe still 18, that's it. Alright, so we have this here. Everything else needs to be deleted because I need to convert this into a time scale chart. So if I save this right now, you see you have the dates here, but the dates are just text or string based. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to convert this into a time scale chart. To do this, we need to go to chartjs.org, and then we go to ecosystem. We're going to download a specific, or we're going to add up a specific date adapter. I'm going to scroll down here and look here for the adapters, and you have three options here. So to be quick, get this one here if you don't need to add up anything else, because it only requires one JavaScript file. This one is easier to use compared to this, in my personal opinion, but requires two JavaScript files. So if you don't need to do any adjustments, use this one here. That's just easier. And the moment is currently deprecated, and although it still supports here, but it's deprecated by Moment.js. They moved on to Loxon because Moment.js has older structuring, and they're moving to Loxon, or the developers, they have moved into this one here to make it more updated. So that's why they stopped developing this one. So don't use this. This might eventually just be phased out. So I'm going for this one here. So click on date FNS. Scroll down here and then just copy this specific adapter here. You can see adapter, bundle, etc., etc. Copy this entire script tag. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just paste that. Make sure you paste that after Chartjs library has been loaded. So the Chartjs library we need to load first, and then we load the date FNS adapter. Why? Because this here is dependent on whatever's in here. So if I save this now, refresh, nothing happens. The reason why nothing happens yet is because we didn't say which scale we want. So we're going to go here in the options. We're going to say X options or X scales. Make sure you have a comma there. And then we're going to say here type. Basically, oh, and I see I make a mistake here. Sorry. I need to be not in there. I need to be in the scales, and then like that. Why? It's a scale category. So that's very important. So in the X scales, type, and then we're going to say your type will be time. So the moment we do this, if I do a comma here, save, refresh, it now starts to work like this. However, and while you see here the time is slightly this, I will not focus on that. I have other videos for that. But this should be at the front and not at the very back. Although, most commonly, it is usually at the back. But of course, there might be situations where you say, I need this differently. And that's what we're focusing on. So then what I'm going to do here is enter. Then we're going to say here, the time object, which we just have defined. And because of the date FNS adapter, it allows us to do this now. Then we're going to say display formats. And once we do this, here we can indicate the format. We're going to say hour. And then in here, if I just do only HH and save this, refresh, you can see we get only the numbers here. We can even do HHMM for the minutes. We have that. And then what we can do here as well is we want to have the AM and PM. Then we can say here AA. This is basically the character. So if I refresh and put it at the back here, it shows here. So now what I want to do is I want to say I want to put the AA at the very front. Save that, refresh, and now you can see here AM, and then this is the time. And that's basically how it works. You can remove all of this, you can play around and do anything you want here with it. Although I think time or hour and minutes is absolutely phenomenal, as you can see here. And that's basically how you can work with this. So if you enjoyed this video and maybe you want to know even more advanced items, there's still so much more what you can do. For example, here on how to use day ticks and hour ticks on the X scale, which is very, very interesting, where we organize them and highlight, for example, the hours while we have the 15-minute quarters being shown nicely and then highlighted with hours in a bold color. Very interesting to explore as well.